Adam Project?
No. Did you watch Worst Roommate Ever? Did you watch Cyrano?
What is that?
All right. Okay. Did you? I don't know why.
Welcome everybody.
Welcome everybody to episode 30. Wait, it is 30, right? Yes, 3030 of Mo 9.
30 Rock from the Sun.
MOAT, the number 9. MOA. Nah, that's too much work. I'm giving myself work by doing that shit.
MOAT, the number 9.
Right. The more you know. Like, did you notice that I completely messed up on the last one because I was doing this and then putting up your hand, but actually I should have been doing it this way because it's
no, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, that was kind of stupid, but whatevs. So we're discussing, and we decided to just start Cyrano. Let's just start off with that one because we're talking about it already and we can just get it out of the way. So you asked me text old or new, which didn't make any sense to me because there's only one Roxanne movie with Steve Martin.
Okay, well, mind you, I was watching a movie and I shouldn't have had my phone on me, but I still text you back. And I was like, oh, Roxanne.
Yes, Roxanne, that one.
Yes.
Okay, so you were asking which Steve
I didn't know if it,
yes. So that one, have you seen that one?
It's been years that since I've seen that one.
But you remember the gist of it.
Well, yeah, pretty much. He's like,
yeah, and then you said, okay, so Cyrano is the original story that Roxanne was based on.
Oh,
and what they did is instead of him having the original story is the guy has a big nose, but in this one it's Peter Dinklage, so he's a midget, not a big nose.
Okay, so there's like something off, not
and
off.
It's it's something that especially back at that time, like, oh my god, who would ever love a midget? Blah blah blah. Well, the other thing is it's a musical. So the only thing I'll say real quick, like, it wasn't done well. It was not done well. It's difficult to, they're supposed to be like in Victorian times, 18th century France or England, and nobody has a fucking accent.
We're in Dingland?
Like, what? Peter Dinklage? Dingland. Peter Dingland. It wasn't done well. The music is not good. None of the songs are memorable. Like, it's just not a very good movie. But when I started the movie, like maybe 20-30 minutes in, I was gonna say this fucking movie is like a 5.5 or a 6 because I'm glad that I'm watching it, but I'm never gonna watch it again. This is not, no. And I like musicals. I like Moulin Rouge, but no. But then I got to the end, and I remember, I love Roxanne, the one with Steve Martin. I love that fucking movie. So I was like, okay, so I have a pretty good idea how it's gonna end. And bro, it does not end like that movie at all. This is a fucking Greek tragedy story, dude. This thing is depressing as fuck. And for that reason, I didn't like the movie, but I like the story. The story of Cyrano is one of those, it's romantic, but very tragic, which is kind of fucked up that I like sad shit. But for that reason, it's, dude, overall, I'm glad I watched it. I probably won't watch it again because it's not very good. The music is not very good. Nothing is. The girl that plays Roxanne, though, hell of a fucking voice, great singer. Apparently, she's in another musical or something. Cinda was telling me, but I'd say a 6 at best, just because it gave me a new take on the story, which I really liked. I'm glad I watched it, but I probably won't watch it again. I might actually, just because I already know that it's pretty bad in the story. Maybe catch some other things that I didn't like. There was one good song towards the end.
Let It Go, that one?
Yeah, pretty much Let It Go. Let It Go. The other one that you didn't watch, apparently I'm just, the whole intro to this episode is just me talking a lot. Worst Roommate Ever. I've asked you before.
I've heard good things.
I've asked you before and I can't remember. Do you like true crime documentary type stuff?
Yeah, I'll watch them. But
you don't look for them. You're not like I actually. I'll sit there and look for forensic files. I'll look for stuff like this.
I'm more of a like ancient aliens guy rather than.
So anyway, Worst Roommate Ever. They start off really good with episode. There's 5 episodes. They're only like 40 minutes, but 4 and 5 are one story. The first episode starts
Okay.
off really good. 2 and 3 are they're so. The last one, which is episode 4 and 5, holy shit, that fucking story, goddamn. So basically, it's people that are telling stories of the worst room, like living situations that just went fucking horrible.
Wait,
But like
what's the show called?
worst roommate ever.
So they're talking about stories of their worst roommate ever.
Yes, like it's not just a clever name, like it's literally the worst roommate ever. I would definitely recommend it for anybody that especially likes true crime documentaries. Definitely watch it.
I've heard
It's
really
good.
good things. It's like it's on the back burner for me because I have a lot of stuff to watch
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know why. But
Because you watch
I
everything, that's why.
well, I mean, because my number one this week was the Adam Project.
Okay. Well, there you go. That settles that. On the other hand, the Adam Project, what would you give that?
Bro, oh my god, that's like a 7.5.
Well, I mean, you're making it sound more exciting than 7.5.
Well, I mean, because I'm not gonna say it's an 8 because that's like what was an 8 that I can remember. I mean, Endgame is like a 9.
I
You
thought
know,
I thought Endgame for you was like a 9.5.
yeah, I think it was a 9.5. I would still say I would still say it's a 7. You know what? I'm gonna give it an 8.
That's what it sounded like. It like when
I'm
you were
gonna give it
telling
an
me,
8
it was sounding
because
more like an 8.
you didn't watch it, right?
I the funny thing is when we watched Cyrano, shortly before that, I was like, hey, let's watch a movie again. And my mom and Cinder were both like, yeah, yeah. So I put it on and both of them immediately start talking about other stuff. And I'm like, okay, you guys are not interested in this movie whatsoever. So I made it through like the first 10 minutes and I took it off and then I put Cyrano.
Dude, after that first 10 minutes, it's like
It's a
yeah,
nonstop roller coaster.
it's crazy. And it's not even I think it's really written well.
Okay.
Um even the character, the banter that they have between each other. Of course, you're talking about Ryan Reynolds,
Right.
you know what I mean? And then his former self, because it's
Right. It's him as a
time
kid.
travel, you know. And it's their banter is really good. It's hilarious. I know that I saw a lot of critics calling it like too much Ryan Reynolds. I can see why they said that. I know only because I mean it's him and then him as a kid, you know.
So and those critics can go suck a nut.
So I recommend it very much so when you
Okay.
get a chance.
Yes, and that'll
I
definitely be
I have a
my
box of tissues.
that'll be my don't tell me that shit. Damn it.
Yeah, only because it's kind of like it's like action, 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 and like
Right in the
frogging your
fields,
yeah, and I'm like, holy, and that happens multiple times, dude.
right in the brown eye fields.
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah,
like a
pretty
surprise
much.
proctology exam or whatever.
I don't know
That's
if that
funny.
would be a surprise because you're going in there knowing what's gonna happen, so it's not a surprise.
Maybe you're standing somewhere and a doctor just comes up out of nowhere and just anyway. So yeah, we'll probably get more in depth on that one. So just real quick, I finally officially finished Spider-Man No Way Home. That shit is fucking I can't imagine having watched that in the theater. I would have lost my shit. Like I lost my shit here. So
Did you lose your shit at the theater? Oh no.
no, well, technically because I had a fucking episode and ended up in the hospital, but right where Aunt May dies,
Yeah.
that's the last thing I saw like with my own eyes. And then I got there at the end when he's talking to MJ in the coffee
Diner.
shop. That's it.
My gosh, you missed like everything.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So I'm sitting there, and as soon as Aunt May dies, dude, I literally moved up to the edge of my seat. I'm like this. I'm crying again when she's dying. I dude, like the whole time from that point to the end, I'm like a wreck. I'm like fucking, and then I get a call for work. That pissed me off. But oh, dude, it was such a fucking great fucking ending. Like seeing all that shit happening, seeing the little, like you were saying, banter between the three Peters. Oh, bro,
my
it did.
gosh.
Like I had already seen a lot of this stuff through spoilers and shit like that, but to actually sit there and watch it as
when
part
they
of the
came
movie.
in, right?
Dude. Yeah, exactly.
When
Like
Ned was like wax on, wax off. Yeah. Did how
so
about the swinging when they did the swinging when they all swang to they all
swanged.
swang
They
together?
all swanged. That was awesome. They all swanged together.
They all
Yes.
swang together.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, like they just run. They're like, okay, we're gonna do this shit, and they all, dude, that was that the whole idea, but that specific scene, them running, jumping, doing the swing, and then landing together. That's easily, and we'd have to do a whole, not a whole episode, but we'd have to do a whole segment on that specific subject, but easily probably top 5 uh movie superhero moments ever.
Yeah.
Like that the only other one that I could think of off the top of my head right in that instant was like uh Captain America picking up Mjolnir.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's
Greatest moments
yeah, like
in MCU history.
oh yeah, for sure.
Hey,
Because
it's a
there you
good one
go.
for TikTok.
Out of here. Anyway,
Hey,
before we
speaking of
get
Hulk,
too into it, William Hurt, rest in peace,
yeah,
brother.
sucks.
Thunderbolt Ross from the MCU has passed away at 71, I believe.
Yep.
I haven't read what. I mean, 71, you kind of figure maybe kind of natural causes, but 71's kind of youngish for these days. People should be living well past 71, but who knows if he was sick.
Well, I
Well,
know
he
that
was looking sick. I thought they were doing it.
right?
Yeah, I thought they were doing it because the character gets kind of sick and then they give him the serum which turns him into the Red Hulk. So I thought they
Right.
were doing it for that reason, but I'm starting to think now he was already sick, kind of like what's his name? Boseman? Chadwick?
Chadwick
I forget his
Boseman.
name. Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman.
Kind of that thing. But rest in peace to that guy.
It says he died of natural causes.
Yeah, that's I think that's what my mom had read, but I'm like, dude, at 71, I don't know about natural causes. That's kind of that's still pretty young. Like I'm sure a lot of younger people are like, oh my god, that's old. Like, bro, that's not really that old. Like 71 is not. Yeah. So
Anywho,
Pam and Tommy finally finished it. Pam and Tommy. I'm gonna say it's good enough. I enjoyed it enough to give it a 7, but honestly, it's not better than a 6. So I'm gonna have to give it a 6.5, just because I don't necessarily regret seeing it. It entertained me. I watched it. I wasn't sitting there like, oh, when's this gonna be over? I watched it, but honestly, I would not watch it again. I didn't really get anything from it. The ending. If I'm gonna get canceled up until this point in our career, our Moat 9
early, we could always
life,
rebrand.
it might be for this one, but honestly, they kind of pulled a end game women's lib thing where the last 2 episodes turned into this preachy thing about slut shaming, and I'm like, I get it, it's a thing. Yeah. It sucks, yes, but the last, like, you didn't have to make it an actual character in the last 2 episodes. Like, it was so overdone. Like, I get the point. I actually agree with it, but it was just forced down our throats like Tommy's things. Sorry, I mean,
but Sebastian Stan played a really good role.
Oh, dude, he did great. Him as Tommy was fun to watch
for a minute there. You know what I mean? It kind of like, all right, he kind of like blended well, even though he really doesn't look like him,
right?
You know? But I mean,
yeah, he pulled off the
makeup of what's her name? Did you know that? Did you watch what's the actress's name that's playing
Lily James?
Yeah, did you see her in what was that movie?
I honestly don't remember seeing her. I'd have to look up her IMDb.
About the Beatles?
No, I haven't seen it.
About the Beatles, and so she came out of there.
Okay.
That movie, like total opposite. Like, you can't even tell it's her.
Yeah, they did really well. Like, for a split second, I actually had to look up pictures of Pam and Tommy to be like, holy shit, this isn't her. Like, the mannerisms, from what I remember, I didn't follow Pam that closely back then, but watching it, I was like, she's a dead ringer, man. Like, she pulled it off. Yeah. She did a really, really good job.
Yeah.
Like, she talks like her, the mannerisms and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Her hair, makeup, everything.
I got you.
I think she's
What would
really
you
good.
give the show
A,
overall?
a 6 2. I mean, I like that it kind of strayed away from that kind of like gimmicky shit
Mm-hmm.
the first couple episodes, and it got better towards the end. But I still give it a 6. I wouldn't rewatch it. I don't even think
Right.
I'd watch a second. I mean, why?
I'm pretty sure. I don't think they will. I mean, I don't think there's
No.
anything else for them to. They're pretty much set at the end. Like they gave a little text or whatever saying this and
Yeah.
this happened and blah blah blah. Like they're still consider each other the love of their lives. Like, and the only thing that I did take away from it, not the only thing, but the main thing that I took away from it that I think could be somewhat redeeming is I did get the sense from the story that if it hadn't have been for that bullshit, they probably would still be together. Like they did a good job of conveying that they really loved each other. It was just a fucked up situation that kind of tore them apart. In that sense, I thought it was really good storytelling, but other than that, it wasn't that great.
Same.
Entertaining, like I said, managed to get through it without saying fuck this. I'm not gonna. I didn't Walking Dead that shit.
Right?
I didn't just say fuck this. I'm done.
For real,
Right,
dude.
I'm out. So, all right. I don't know how long we're in. How long are we in? Oh, it doesn't have a
Drum roll,
timer.
please.
Guys, get ready for those watching the video. I usually edit it to about 30 minutes anyway, but for those of you in the audio, now's a good time to hit pause, go get a drink, go get something to eat, because this one I think is going to take for fucking ever, which is completely fine because the Batman. I saw it, he saw it, and now that I think about it, I completely forgot to check to see if Nathan was going to do it with us. Shit. Sorry,
You know,
Nathan.
I thought you didn't like
That
the voice.
him and I were doing the boys. What? I don't. Um, I'll probably watch season 3 to give it that like one last chance. I'm not a big fan of the boys. I'm actually not. But anyway, we'll leave that for another time. The Batman. Now you can give me your official rating.
I got a lot of chatter going on.
Right, it's almost like right in your ear.
Pretty much. My official rating is an 8.5.
Oh shit! I thought it was gonna be higher. 8.5. And you said Endgame is like a 9.5.
Yeah.
Where was No Way Home?
I think it was a 9.
I want to say it was a 9 if I remember yours
Yeah,
correctly.
I think. Let's see.
So this is not right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have enough editing time for that shit. Um, so it's Endgame, No Way Home, and the Batman.
Yes, as far as like the newest movies in the last 5 years.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so.
let's get controversial. Just
No.
let's do it. Where's the Dark Knight?
Oh my gosh. I would say the trilogy or just the
No. The
Dark
Dark
Knight.
Knight. Don't not the not. Well, we could do that, but for now, let's just say the Dark Knight, specifically the Dark Knight.
I think it would be an 8.
Okay, so this one is okay.
I liked it better. I
But
even
see, and
liked it better
that's
than the Ben Affleck Batman, and everybody's like
yes.
so enthralled with Ben Affleck.
I don't see why. I don't. I defend it because Cinda hates it, but I defend it. But it's not that like I have it. I'm right in the middle. Like it's not the greatest thing ever, and it's not the worst thing ever. Like he did all right.
I think the reason that they do it is, one, he's huge and he looks like a comic book Batman. They made him,
yes.
he's a big guy. Also, they put him with Superman. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that has a lot to do with it too, because they put the story with Batman and they put Superman together with Henry Cavill Superman, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's so many in the multiverse or ultiverse or whatever
Right.
DC verse, but they put those two guys together in that movie, and I think that's what kind of puts him a step above anybody else, because I think they'll still like Ben Affleck more than Patterson, right?
Pattinson. Yeah.
Pattinson. I think that's the reason, that because, and not only that, I mean, they went into like so much other stuff with the Justice League than just Batman. The
Right.
Dark Knight. The Dark Knight had Joker, you know what I mean? And all the other storylines that he had, but Ben Affleck's Batman had Superman, had the Flash.
Yeah.
Had, you know what I mean?
You never got a standalone Batfleck
Yeah.
movie. So yeah, no, I get you.
Batfleck.
Yeah, it. And that's the other question I was gonna ask. So I don't know if it's even fair because a lot of people are even saying that like as far as like the trilogy, and I'm like, dude, if you're honestly, if you're comparing the Batman to the full on Dark Knight trilogy, Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and the Dark Knight Rises,
Yeah.
that to me shows how amazing the Batman is because you're
Yeah.
now comparing it to 3 fucking movies and it still holds up.
Yeah.
I hesitate to say it, but no, actually, I don't hesitate to say it. If it wasn't for Heath Ledger's Joker, this guy at Paul Dano or whatever his name is as the Riddler,
Yeah.
best fucking villain portrayal of a comic book villain, best portrayal of the comic book villain I think maybe ever. Like if it wasn't for Heath Ledger, because honestly, Heath Ledger did an amazing job in the role that he played, but this is going to be very blasphemous. I don't think I still haven't seen the perfect Joker. I've seen close. I've seen, what's his face? Joaquin Phoenix did a good version of the Joker. Heath Ledger did an amazing version of the Joker. Even Jared Leto's version of the Joker is okay-ish. It's decent. It's all right. Jack Nicholson back in the day, but I still haven't seen a version where I'm like, that is the fucking Joker. That I can say about the Riddler. This was the Riddler. This was fucking amazing as the Riddler.
Yeah.
Like I
So
haven't seen a better villain. Maybe you could say what's his face as Thanos, but I felt exactly what you were saying. Like the whole time that I was like, I was like, holy fuck, we still got like another 2 hours left, but that's fine. And
yeah,
oh my god, there's still an hour left, but that's fine. And even like right at
exactly.
the end, I'm like, holy shit! It almost felt like the Lord of the Rings. Like, oh my god, just give me the fucking ending already. Not because I wanted
Mhm.
it to end necessarily, but just I'm like, fuck, how much longer can this go? And I still be interested because, and that I will say, the Dark Knight was the last time that I remember being at the movies and really, really feeling like, holy shit, that was an experience. Like I
Yeah.
like movies, but like to truly feel like an experience, this was my most recent because
Yeah.
I'm watching it and the whole thing is playing out, and then it's like you got the Riddler and he's in Arkham, blah blah blah, and then he's like, oh, there's one last thing that you're not going to be able to stop. And then they show the computer where it's the people talking, and it's pretty much he set up like this little army that's gonna do this, like almost like a mass shooting type. Dude, I literally was like, oh, I felt cringy. I felt it
Mhm.
made me feel something like for real, like, oh fuck, that was so creepy. Like,
Because
oh
it's possible,
yeah,
right?
dude, like it just felt so realistic. I'm like, oh,
Yes.
it almost gave me like literal chills, which for a movie to make you feel so strongly, it's a great fucking job, and this movie did that.
Yeah.
I didn't even give mine. I honestly would give it. I have to rewatch it, but it's closer to a 9 than an 8.5.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot wrong with this movie. I think the one thing I haven't read too much on the reviews, but I can
Mhm.
imagine that the biggest thing that I'm gonna have a problem with, especially fucking Rotten Tomatoes, because their critics suck ass. If anybody says, well, like, oh, it's well, he didn't this and he didn't that, bro. They literally said he's on year 2 of being Batman. He's a rookie Batman. So any
Yeah.
complaint that you have about his story arc, like the dynamic that they established with him and Alfred, where he's still very rebellious, but then he
Yeah.
realizes how much he cares for him. That's a rookie Batman thing. That's obvious that would happen. Um, the fact that he got to that ledge and he was just like, oh fuck, like he
Yeah.
hesitated and he panicked. That's a rookie Batman thing. Like he didn't just day one start off being the badass.
Right.
He had to learn how to, and I don't think Christian Bale did as good a job showing that as he did. Like in the
No,
Batman Begins, they
yeah.
did a good job, but not this good.
No, he seemed more fearless in that Batman, where he
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Okay, I'm Batman. This is what I do. I don't, I'm not scared of anything."
Mm-hmm.
Where Pattinson was more
Mm-hmm.
like very very fresh, like
Mhm.
you said, new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He hasn't been the Batman that long. And just Rotten Tomatoes gave it 85%. IMDb gave it an 8.4 out of 10. So
Okay.
those are like basically B's. You know what I mean? That they're giving this movie. I'm giving it an 8.8 and a half, which I should be giving it a 9, but I think I'm only giving it an 8.5 because it's DC and I'm being an asshole.
It's just by default. Like, there's no way they can make a 9. No, there's no way.
but I'm gonna tell you this. Like I said before, this is by far my favorite Batman. So it's
I
already at the top of my list. And can you see why?
Yeah, no, for sure. The only yeah, dude. There's just so many aspects of this fucking movie that we could dive so deep into.
I mean, the
Just
Penguin,
dude,
Zarkoni,
dude.
Colin
Oh my
Farrell.
god, dude. Colin, the storyline for Selena. The one thing that I will say is that I found it interesting that they chose not to have I was telling Cinda this, the butting heads of Bruce and Selena, because um what's her face in the original Batman from the late 80s, early 90s? Kim Basinger?
You froze
Was it Kim Basinger?
for what? It's
No,
because you
not Kim
froze.
Basinger. Michelle Pfeiffer. Michelle Pfeiffer with Michael Keaton. They had that headbutting,
Yeah.
that tension.
Mm.
What's her face? Anne Hathaway with Christian Bale. They had the butting heads and tension, that like sexual tension or whatever.
Yeah.
They didn't seem to have that. They just had like two people that were just not in the great place in their life that
Yeah.
liked each other. So that I was like, oh, that's a little interesting. Like I was expecting the
It
more
wasn't too. It
headbutting.
wasn't forced.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. But her storyline that she's now really, they're making her related to Falcone and shit like that. The Iceberg Lounge or whatever it's called, with the
Yeah.
penguin, dude. I kind of feel bad for him just because they made him a sub character, a sub villain. Um,
But
he could have easily carried this movie as the villain by himself, dude. He did such a
but
fucking amazing job. What?
but he's getting
That's
his own
okay.
spinoff
Is he the one getting the spinoff?
on
I
HBO
know there,
Max.
I know there was a spinoff, but dude, I could see that.
Yeah.
Him as a fucking penguin was fucking fun
And
as
I
fuck to
and
watch.
I know, and I think they're gonna show his rise, like the rise of the penguin or
I'll
something like
watch
that.
that.
Yeah.
Usually spinoffs, I'm like, I'll watch that. He did such a good fucking job,
Yeah.
dude. Dude, the fucking scene where they have that's another thing that I did bother me just a little bit. I'm like, okay, I get it. You like the tactic of attaching the camera to like the bottom front of the vehicle. They had a lot of shots like that, like when he's
Yeah.
driving away and stuff. But dude,
Uh-huh.
when he's like all excited, fuck yeah, I got you. Like, you know what's about to happen. But I still got stupid excited when I saw the Batmobile crash through. I'm like, oh my god, dude. Like, you knew exactly what was going to happen, and yet somehow it still got me super excited.
And his face, right?
Yeah, like what the fuck, that dude. Like, that's such a good fucking movie. Like, I can't wait to watch this shit again. And I'm that's why I was pointing at myself. I was one of them. I was totally one of them. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's how bad Warner Brothers, that's how desperate they are, that they're getting fucking Twilight guy to play fucking Batman. Like, dude, I was shitting all over him, dude. I honestly, I was probably
And,
more critical of him playing Batman than I was of Heath Ledger playing the Joker,
and then
because
he totally redeemed himself.
and totally redeemed himself. Brownie points to whoever knows what reference that is.
Yeah. TikTok.
Right. I'm trying to think of what, dude. Like I said, I could go on and on about this fucking movie. I just can't think of anything specific. The fucking visuals are fucking amazing.
I like how they brought into fruition, one of my new favorite words, that Batman is the greatest detective.
Yeah, dude.
In
The
all
little
comic book
contact,
history.
the little
I like
contact thing where he puts it on the thing and he can now see what. It's like I was playing like, did you ever happen to play the video games, the recent ones that came out, the Arkham Knights and all that?
No,
Bro, that was a
no.
fucking Batman. Like, you did all of that stuff. You used that
Really?
technology to do all that stuff, and it was like I was
Nice.
playing the fucking game, dude. It was, yeah, dude. The detective. But
That's
I mean,
fine.
honestly, I don't think there's anything else to really say other than dragging this out to be a 2-hour episode, because
Yeah.
it's a fucking it. For now, I'm gonna give it a 9, just because I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, so did I.
The movie experience of seeing it in the theater, the
So amazing.
this guy did an amazing job. Matt Reeves did an amazing job. Everybody did a great job in this fucking movie.
Yeah.
There's very little for me to pick apart. Maybe the fact that it was 3 hours, but it kept me
No, it
entertained the
wasn't. It
whole
was
time.
2 hours and 56 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Yes, that they're doing the same thing where they're kind of giving you teasers and stuff, but not really. They're not as good as Marvel, obviously.
But it was a good 2 hours and 56 minutes. It was a good 3 hour
It was,
movie.
dude. It was. I could easily sit through it and not complain. Just the way that I put on Seven now and sit there. I'll usually have it more on the in the background.
Mm.
But Shawshank is like 2 hours. Like most of the movies that I sit there and watch and just have on are like 2 hour, 2.5 hour movies. So
Yeah. So, but I'm like I said, storyline, story arc. I mean, all the way to the end with the Riddler. You know what I mean? It was basically to the end of the movie about this one guy. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
everything was kind of like still intertwined into it. I love the way that they did that. You know, where it wasn't just like one boss, one villain. You know, whatever. They were bringing in everything. You know, it kind of like seemed like it was gonna be a standalone movie, and that's all it was gonna be. Where they like kind of like forced everything together, but they
right.
forced everything together in a good way, not in a bad way.
I
You
wouldn't
know,
even say forced. It's just, it's very well done. That's the reason that it's 3 hours, because like you said, they go into depth with each character enough to where you fully understand why they're. Because honestly, if they hadn't have shown any of the background for Selena, for the Penguin, for anybody, it would just be
yeah,
like they were almost pointless. Like, okay, like who cares?
it
Like
would have it would have been a Batman against the Falcone.
yeah,
That would have
pretty
been the
much.
basic movie. Well, I mean, besides the Riddler, but still, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you could, like, you almost can't tell. Like, is he technically battling the Penguin? Is he battling Falcone? Is he battling the Riddler? Dude,
Yeah.
If this is this good, I can't even imagine what they're gonna do with the Joker, because
I just say this: they better not fuck it up.
I don't see how they can. Well, I mean, of course they can, but
They can because it's DC, but
yeah, no, I mean, as long as they stick to the formula, as long as they keep Pattinson, keep Matt Reeves, keep these same people, and then expand from there, dude. If we actually get the spinoff for the Penguin, that means that we're probably gonna see Batman in there somewhere. I mean, kind of have to at some point, even if
yeah,
it's towards the end of the season or whatever. But dude, I'm looking forward to seeing this shit. I hats off to you, Mr. Pattinson. I doubted you, but never again. I'm gonna go back and watch. I had it on my list anyway, and Cinda said that it was actually really good. The Devil All the Time and
Mhm.
Lighthouse. I've had Lighthouse on my fucking list for years. I don't know how long it's been out, but at least a few months, if not years. I mean, come on, him and fucking William Dafoe. Fuck yeah,
The friend.
the friend. Stupid. So
Yeah,
that being said, sir, anything else?
there was one more. I just can't remember what it was.
I can't remember. Anyway, for next week, the Adam Project and Kingsman.
Kingsman. Yes.
Did you watch the second one after all?
No.
So you have more homework than I do, because you need to watch that. You need to. I don't think you need to, but you say that you need to. So because this is a prequel. Keep that in mind. This is a prequel to both of them. So you don't technically need to know what happens in the second one, but I understand if you do want to. Set Max.
How'd you know?
Because I had the honor of hanging out with that kid for a day, so I have a pretty good idea of the shit that he would do.
That is him.
He's giving you he's got more TikTok follows and likes than we do, so trust the process, bro. He might be doing us a favor.
I think so.
Shit. All right, so that
gosh.
being said, as always, guys, be good to each other, be good to yourselves, and
Peace.
all right, guys.